Hi, I'm Streaky from Streaky.com and today I'm reviewing the Focal Sopra No3s. So the Focal Sopra No3s that you may have seen in videos behind me for the last month or so, I've had them on demo and I've been trialling them out. Now the story goes, I phoned Focal and asked them if I could get a set of full range monitors. I've obviously over the years have worked on loads and loads of different pairs of monitors, so I hadn't heard the larger Focals. Now obviously I've heard the twins and the trios and the smaller studio speakers, but I've never really had much experience with the more hi-fi end of the market for what they do. Now I've used in the past with great success the B&W 802s, which you might have seen at different mastering studios. Now they're a hi-fi speaker, so I kind of thought, okay, well, what's Focal got that is a similar range? Because I like the trios, I like the SM9s, although I thought the SM9s had a little bit too much bass in the room that I was using them in, but the trios are great. So Focal flew their man over to check out my new room, just to look at the sizes, check out sort of how it sounded and match up the right speakers for my room. He suggested that these number 3s were the right ones, which I believe are the one down from the biggest full-on Utopias, which are about 150,000, so thankfully he picked these ones. I think they retail at about 15,000. They are passive speakers, so they don't have any amplifiers. So he flew back over when these were delivered. They were delivered in big, like, tomb caskets, and the guys brought them in, and Name, who I think are part of Focal, they bought some big amps with them and bought some ridiculously expensive cables to go alongside to plug them in. The guy Nicholas from Focal then set them up and worked out exactly where they should be in the room and tuned them up so that they sounded exactly how he thought they sounded great. And may I say, if you are watching, Nicholas, you did a fantastic job, because I've banged fuzz measure on to check out the peaks and troughs of the speakers, and they're relatively flat. I don't feel I'm losing anything in the tops or the bottom. I'm not lacking anything. I'm not wanting for anything. So good work. I got truly spoilt by Focal, coming over, setting them up, leaving them with me to try out. Now, how do they sound? Now, I've got on purpose a big white screen in front of me. Now the reason for that is, if you think of it like a canvas, and basically I listen in that way, so it's kind of just a big blank space in front. It's very easy to then pinpoint certain instruments and sounds and always know where things are positioned, because I kind of listen in pictures, if you like. So that's kind of how I've got that set up. And these speakers, when you turn them on, a lot of speakers you can hear the speakers. You literally can't hear the speakers. It's just a big sound in front of you, which is superb, because you can really hear everything going on, the minute details of what's happening in the low bass. They go super low. They are suited really well to this room. The bottom end is tight, it's not flabby. I can hear super low bass, really tight. A lot of hip hop that I do, and I listen to a lot of reference tracks that I've got a lot of tight sub stuff, and I can hear everything that's going on. I always find some speakers, they are better at the bass, or they're better at the mids, or maybe the high end, you know, the tweeter is really bright. And I've never had a speaker where all the way through the range there isn't a point sticking out. It's all really flat across the front. So you get this stereo image where you can really pinpoint stuff and hear the spread and hear exactly what you're doing. And I haven't felt the need to switch to another set of monitors. Even from day one of working on them, I was straight in, I could hear what was going on. Loads of lows, loads of highs. They've got the Beryllium tweeter, they've got two 8-inch bass drivers, and then they've got a 6-inch mid-range driver. And the mid-range driver, the way that they set it up for me is pointing, it looks here as if they're lower, it's just because I'm much further forward, but they are perfectly onto my head for where the tweeter and stuff is. Like I say, there's nothing sticking out, there's no flabby bass. They play perfectly flat. Now, they are quite big boys, as you can see. They actually, when you're looking at them straight on, they don't look as big as they do from the side, which is a bit of a shame, but obviously you want them so they're facing the front. Now these have got their covers on at the moment, which are, this is a nice detail, they are magnetic covers, which is quite cool. They're just for transport purposes. Really, you shouldn't be playing with those on. It's going to affect the sound of the cones. So I would always keep those off. You've got two 8-inch drivers at the bottom for the bass. You've got a 6-inch mid-range here. And then you've got the kind of beryllium tweeter that you see in the Focal Twins and Trios in the centre here. Now, the reason why these sit so well, now this isn't my normal seat and I'm sitting sort of over there somewhere. I'm perfectly in line with the mid-range. And this tweeter there, it just seems to sit really well, so that it's a very clear, flat sound across the whole spectrum. The finish on them, these are like a gloss white, which was nice of them to send me those because obviously I've got a white room. The finish is really gorgeous. They're obviously like sprayed, like a car finish. It's very glossy, and this top mid-range tilts forward. So it comes with some spikes at the bottom so that they can really angle the speakers, and they're also a bit isolated from the floor. These are kind of leaning up a bit at the back, so this is flat and the bass is kind of driving towards me. So the setup's pretty interesting. On the back there is this grill, and as you can see there's just two cable inputs which you can have for these name leads, which are rather snaz. I think they're great speakers. I've always liked hi-fi speakers, I think, for mastering. I just find that when I'm working on studio style speakers for the day, when I've worked on big PMCs, for example, for the whole day, they are quite draining and quite hard. Like, that works really well, I think, especially in mix situations where you're kind of really more worried about the level of individual instruments, and it's kind of that kind of hard effect works, that kind of mid effect. But I want to sit and I'm listening in a way where I'm listening to the veneer, I'm listening to how someone would be listening in their home environment. So it's more to do with, I want something where I can sit back, listen, it's comfortable on the ears. I might be mastering for 10 hours in the day, and so I just want to be able to hear all day without feeling drained, ringing in the ears. I just want to know that just sounds great. I'm really enjoying the sound. As I said in a previous video about speakers, you've got to love the speakers. You've got to love how they look. They brought me over some white ones, which was very nice of them, rather than some bright red ones, because I've got a white room, incredibly. They look the part, they sound the part. I really like them. So I would definitely recommend you have a listen to these if you're looking for something that you need a full range monitor, and if you're like me and you prefer a more hi-fi sound to when you're working, so it's a bit smoother on the ears, you should definitely check these Focals out. I know they do a smaller range that are a little bit cheaper, but these ones are definitely the ones to listen to. You're going to need some amplifiers. I'll do a separate video on the name amps and the leads that I'm working with them, so you can understand a full price range of what you're in for. But I would definitely listen to them. Classy sound, really smooth. So if you've got anything you'd like me to review, then please let me know in the comments. If you'd like me to talk any more about mastering or anything else, then let me know. If you've had any experience with the Sopras, then I'd like to hear that too. And if you have got this far and you want me to master for you, there is a code below. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.